Welcome back to the channel, guys, and today we're going to be using the Molino Signetti flour. It's 00 flour. It made this pizza, but it's a general purpose flour on this occasion, and this is really why you shouldn't be using a general purpose flour. Look, not great. So I'll be talking you through why I started again. That's another shot of the pizza. It did taste all right at the end, but on this particular flour, it's 12% on the protein, but I suspect it's quite a weaker flour. So as always, we started off with 630 grams of water, and we're just measuring that out, and 1 gram of yeast, and we gave that a spin around. So just mixing that all together, looking fantastic. So now we're going to add in the flour. Now we're going to weigh it. Been asked about this before, and people have said, do you weigh the bag? Yes, we do, but we don't show the footage, but you've just seen it there. So we need to mix it all together and just gradually adding that all in. And at this stage there was no real issues with the flour. It did seem to be taking all the water quite nicely, but this, as I say, is a general purpose flour as opposed to a per pizza flour, which we would normally use on our channel. So adding that bit more in, and it's just going really nicely. And as always, thanks to everybody who've taken the time to comment and subscribe. We'll love your comments. Please keep them coming. Have you tried this flour before? Again, if you have, please leave a comment. And what did you think to this video? Again, please leave a comment. It is one of our first semi-fail videos, I suppose, this one that we're doing today. So, yep, thank you all so much for your support. It really is appreciated. Me and Oliver love every single comment that we get through, and we try and respond to all of them. So just going to pour a bit of the flour onto the work surface, and then we'll tip that dough out. Just save, as always, a little bit in the bag, just so you can tip that in the bowl and scrape out the bowl as well. So there we are, just that last little bit in, and we'll give that a good run around. So yes, definitely the bag contained at least 1 kilogram of flour. We're definitely spot on this one. So just scraping that around onto the, and then we'll pour out the flour and the remaining dough onto the dough mound there. So just need to mix and knead this in for around about 10 minutes. Now at this stage, again, there wasn't much sticking. It was mixing together really nicely. So it all came together really well. I wouldn't have suspected that this flour was going to be a bit of a nightmare with our regular pizza recipe. And it came off my hands really nicely, and it was kneading really nicely, as you can see there. No sticking, I would say, nothing excessive. And we filmed this at the beginning of May, this particular one. So just giving that and shaping that into a ball, and then we're going to cover that for 1 hour. So after the hour, it looks like this, and watch. This is when I thought things were going wrong. It was really sticky. It stuck to that bowl, and the dough scraper kind of gave it away a little bit as well. It was really, at this stage now, the development of this dough, you could tell it was really weak. But we'll add in the 25 grams of salt, and look, there you go. You see, it's really now sticky, and you can tell that it's a weaker flour, not a bread flour or a pizza flour. This is just a general purpose flour. So if you have used general purpose flours before, and you recognise some of these results, this is probably why. And this is why, again, my advice is always use the correct flour for the actual ingredient, for the actual pizza that you're trying to cook. So it was extremely sticky at this point and very soft. And I was going to call it a day, or was very tempted to add in some more flour, but I thought, no, we'll be consistent like we have been on our other videos, in fairness, and we'll carry on. So what you'll see in a sec is I'm now going to do try and slam it onto the work surface and try and build that, any strength that we could get out of it, back into the dough, and I'm hitting it that hard that you'll notice that the camera starts to slip on the stand, and Oliver were telling me to stop banging it down as much because it's moving the camera. So at this point, I was now deciding that I'm going to call it a day, and I'm just going to let it live in the bowl, and I decided I think that's a good idea. So popping it back into the bowl. In it goes, and we'll cover that with a shower cap, and we're going to leave this for around 19 hours at room temperature. So here it is before, and here it is after 19 hours. So next we'll take off the shower cap and we'll have a look, and let's see what we've got underneath. And as you can see there's nothing to suspect there's anything wrong, and just pulling that up, and it's straight away it's sticking to me. But if you look now, this is when you know you're not going to get great dough. You can kind of see through it, and you can see like micro holes in there, and what we normally would get is something that's a lot more solid. So 230 grams for each pizza ball on this particular one, and it's sticking to me. So make sure you got plenty of semola flour left out. So going to give that a dip in there. That might make it a little bit easier to work with. Just resetting the scales, and there we go. We've got 230 grams there. So again, we'll try and form a bit of a ball in there, but it's really, really sticky, even with that extra semola flour that we're putting on there. And again, I instantly knew, it's just gut instinct. I thought this is not going to go so well. So we'll put that into the tub. Bit of semola flour into the tub. Make sure you put plenty in if you are in this position and you are willing to carry on. So just giving that a rub round, and then we'll put the pizza ball into the tub itself. And there we go. So given the state of play with these balls, I was going to leave them out just for 3 hours. So here they are before, and here they are after 3 hours. So there isn't quite a bit. Pizza time is coming right up. Okay, so pizza time, and this is going to be very, very interesting. So we pop on the semola flour and rub it around like we normally would do. And what we'll notice in a second is that it actually does come out of the tub relatively easily. And then onto the bed of semola flour, giving it a couple of turns in there, and then we're pushing out with those fingers like we normally would do, popping any air bubbles. That just stops any of the burning. And once we get it into a point where we need to then stretch the base out further, so I'll pick it up. Now what I noticed here is straight away how weak it actually is. It would have broken if I'd have lifted it up any further. So I'm going to wipe the semola flour away, and I'm going to stretch it out. Now look at this. This is when you don't want to be making pizza anymore using this dough if your base looks like this. And you can see how thin it is at the top right hand side, and now towards the centre of the right hand side of the screen, you look at how thin that actually is. If you put sauce on top of that and then put that in your pizza oven, that will stick in your pizza oven. It'll stick in a normal oven as well, and you'll end up with just a massive mess and a broken pizza in your actual oven itself, and you'll have wasted all the toppings. So if you see that, just stop and start again. You can re-ball that up, you can use the dough later. So here's take 2 pizza time, and again it came out easily out of the tub, but this time I'm just going to rub it into the semola flour, and then I'll wipe away most of the excess. I'll leave some flour there because otherwise this might stick to the work surface as well. So just rolling it out with my fingers, with my fingertips, and trying to make it the best that I can. I now know at this stage I'm not going to be able to lift that pizza base up and stretch it any further. It'll have to be stretched entirely on the work surface itself. I suppose it's a little bit like a gluten-free base would act like. So there you go. There's just that little patch where it's going a little bit thin. Now, what we can do with this is salvageable. We don't have to necessarily reball it at this stage. Is we can fold that piece of that you'll now be able to see it. We'll fold that over, so it'll make it stronger, and there's less likelihood of it tearing in the oven itself. So there you go, I'm just patching that up. And if you do get a hole in your base, if you get a little hole, you can just patch it up. But if it's a big hole, it's just best just to start again. So I'm not going to lift it up to shape it, I'll just shape it with my palm of my hand. I'm going to be sparing with the Mutti tomato sauce. We're using the Pro Peroni. It's absolutely fantastic. It's available at Tesco's for £3 in the UK, and it is really, really nice. Nice and smoky pepperoni. So I'm going to be using the Sainsbury's Parmigiano, the pre-grated stuff. Wasn't feeling terrific on this particular day. And then we're going to be using the pepperoni there going on, and it really, really is nice. Some fresh mozzarella going on as well. Pop that on. And some ham. So obviously this is for Oliver. He likes his ham cooked. And just popping that on there, making sure we've got all that on. So I'm having to work fairly quickly. That's gone onto the peel now, and quickly into the pizza oven, 400 degrees in the rock box for this one. We'll put this in real time. No editing on the cook, but I am going to leave it on a little bit longer to get that base set before I turn it, because normally when you use the turning peel, that's when you normally end up with the pizza ripping, and you'll probably see some wafts of smoke coming out. That's probably the excess flour they've had to use to make sure I can get it off the work surface and onto the peel. If you'd have done this directly on the peel, of course, it would have probably stuck to the peel. So again, using a general purpose flour is not always a great idea. It's a really good flour. I would imagine this for other recipes. I'm not saying the flour is rubbish or anything like that, far from it. It's probably a great flour. But for pizza and following this particular type of recipe, it's probably not the greatest flour to use. But you can see from the results though that, you know, the pizza looks pretty decent, and it did taste really, really nice as well. And there's no like excessive burning, and it's now obviously set, so I'm just being really, really gentle, moving it round. And again, if you were using this at a party or anything like that, I'd be really, really dubious about using this for if you got family and friends around. Let's put it onto the chopping board. Now look underneath, look out. See, you can see through it in places, and it's probably not cooked properly. And that's probably one of the things that we noticed. So it was that weak, you know, you couldn't really cut it. But it is fairly crispy and soft. Let's open it up and have a look inside. It's cutting really nicely. It looks okay as well. So yeah, please like the video if you did like this one. But the lesson learned is be very, very careful what flour you buy. General purpose flour is more for general purpose, not specifically for pizza. Please consider subscribing. And all I'm going to say is thanks for watching, and bye for now.